Alright, hey guys, it's Dr. Connor Nacarado here with Physio Strength Physical Therapy. What we're going to be taking a look at today is shoulder impingement. So we've already done another video on rotator cuff anatomy. Feel free to check that out if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and take off the muscles here and just look at the joint first, right? So we've got the shoulders, this big ball and socket joint. The ball is very large and the socket is very small. So a lot of that stability, again, needs to come from the rotator cuff muscles. So this part of the scapula or shoulder blade is called the acromion. So in some people, it's this nice flat bone as shown in this diagram, right? In others, it can be kind of curved. In other people, it can be very, very hooked, right? So we see three different types. This would be a type 1, flat. Type 2 would be semi-curved. And type 3 would be a big hook, right? So there is some anatomical variance that could lead you to be more prone to shoulder impingement, right? If you are someone with one of those hooked acromions where that bone just kind of comes down further, you're more likely to get this type of shoulder issue. So as we look at this muscle, again, this is one of your rotator cuff muscles. This is your supraspinatus. What can happen with shoulder impingement, and most common, is that this muscle gets kind of squished or pinched on the undersurface of that acromion, right? So when you raise your arm up, you get kind of that pinching sensation. A lot of times it's from that. Sometimes it could even be from the bicep tendon, right? So if we add some other layers on here, you can see this is the long head of the biceps tendon. So if we zoom out, you can see that there's part of your bicep and it comes all the way up in the shoulder joint. That can also get kind of caught as we raise our arm and things like that. Now, you've also got a lot of connective tissue. So, it's really, if we look at all these ligaments and things like that, underneath that ligament, you've got a bursa through under there too. So we take off some of those ligaments. You've got this little guy, which is just a bursa, fluid-filled sac. Essentially, all it is a little sac that provides nutrients to the joints, things like that. Oh, here it is. Sorry. This can get kind of caught, right? There's really not a lot in the literature that shows, this structure versus this structure being inflamed. You can see it on MRI, but clinically it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. There's a ton of different exercises you can do for shoulder impingement to kind of help reduce it, right? Really, it's a lot of those rotator cuff strengthening exercises, because if you strengthen that rotator cuff, if you've already watched the video on the rotator cuff anatomy and what it does, the rotator cuff comes, when it contracts, it pulls the head of the humerus, the arm bone, down and helps kind of create space in here so that you can rotate your arm without pinching those structures. So, shoulder impingement is a pretty easy thing to fix if you catch it early. A lot of times people wait to come in because they think it's just going to get better, and then then you end up getting a lot more inflammation in through there, and it can can definitely lead to one of those degenerative rotator cuff tears that we see quite often. So, my biggest piece of advice would be, check out some of our videos on, different rotator cuff strengthening exercises that you can work on. We put a lot of stuff out on our Instagram at PhysioStrength, or you can feel free to check out our website, physiostrength.com. All right, thanks guys.